everybody. Welcome to this year in indie music. What a year it was. What a year it's ending up being. Uh, and of course, I because I couldn't do this alone, I had to bring my brother from another mother. And this is our third year doing this, JD. Can you believe that? But
I
Mr.
can't
JD
believe it.
Estrada's with me.
I can't believe it, and it's been the hardest one so far.
This was, like you said, this was an interesting year for me. I think my dozen and my +2 list is the most diverse I've ever had as far as genres go. The genre I grew up on made a huge comeback this year, and that's hardcore punk. There's a lot of cross-genre bands on my list, which I think is very interesting, including one of my top 2 major label albums, and also the music that I am repping right now and I love disappeared this year. I mean, metal really had a bad year. For me, it's just all about music that speaks to me, soothes me, and then kicks me upside the head. Those are the 3 criteria that I pick for my 12 plus bands I've listened to over and over. These are albums I've listened to endlessly over and over again, and most of them have 1 to 0 skips on them. So that's the other criteria that I really put my list to, and that's why that's where I'm at with my list. So
that's why Dropkick Murphys just didn't make my 12.
And I can understand that. I do feel you. There are a couple songs on there that I wish they hadn't included. And if you do the extended version, you really exhaust you. But
I did that one, so I don't know if I should have done.
You might have some of that from the because a lot of that is during, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but that's a lot of that stuff comes from the time when Al was still, bounding about with the band a little bit. So this is Ken's band now, and he's kind of taking it over. I'll talk about that in a little bit because, spoiler alert, Dropkick Murphys is going to get talked about here today. Let's start on the top echelon of my major releases. This band would have been probably my album of the year. I mean, honestly, it just would have. It's Turnstile's Never Enough. I did not listen to an album more in 2025. From the opening title track, the meditational aspects of it, it has horns, it has a synthesizer, it has piano, it has just danceable kick-ass riffs. I mean, the fierceness of songs like Soul, Dull, Sun Shower. These are punk rock, just gold, hardcore, just slam. I mean, you may not want to ever be in a mosh pit, but you definitely want to be in a mosh pit when you hear these songs, because the entire arena is a mosh pit when you hear these songs. Everybody is up and down. This reminds me of old Ramones style punk rock where everybody's just dancing because it just makes you feel like that. And then, of course, a contender for Song of the Year for me, Birds, one of the best and one of the greatest moments on a tiny desk I've ever seen. This song just brings it, and then they have mellow channeling songs like that pay homage to The Cure, like I Care, and deep 70s fused riffs that are kind of like Parliament Funkadelic and like dreaming. And then they go into the Sabbath. They even do like a Sabbath tribute with Slow Dive. I mean, it's this great melodic doom song that is just amazing. I mean, this album had it all. It has feeling, it's danceable, and it has monster riffs with incredible vocals, incredible singing. Just everything about this album was just beautiful parading of just awesomeness for me. Yeah, it easily would have been my favorite album if this band didn't sell out to the major label. So.
But I saw that tiny desk, dude. The energy's there. It's a band I really want to see live.
Yeah, they're amazing. One of my best experiences of 2025 was getting to see Turnstile live. So yeah.
Cheers to that. I'm gonna go with the safer option for my first major label pick, and then the other one, I'm gonna mention one, and I'm gonna mention why it's because people are fawning over it, and then I'm gonna mention the one that hits home. So let's just go with the one that is a no-brainer for me. I'm a fan of Deftones. Private Music is solid as hell. And like Ohms, it's an album that you listen to the album, you put it on, and either you pay attention or you tune out, and it's gonna be effective. I think Deftones have pushed themselves to a place not of comfort, because they're always pushing themselves. And I do think that their live, you mentioned that live, they're doing much better. I've seen live sets lately, and now I would see them. Way back in the day, it's like Chino's voice was
their production has risen to a level that I don't think anybody can touch right now. They may be the standardized for loud music right now, because they've come up with a way to kind of have this echoing, beautiful, ethereal sound, but yet it still just fucking rocks the whole way.
And it'll punch you in the face. And what I like is that they're not pulling back, they're not settling. It's like, oh wait, you think that just because we're no, you silly child.
If I was a fan of the vocalist, this album would be something I'd mention, but I'm not a fan. So
I am. It's a band that I would see now, because Chino is taking care of his voice and he's singing better live, rather than just, shredding his vocal cords. And I think I like this one more than Ohms, because it has more variety to it. Ohms has a vibe to it, and the vibe, they lock in and they don't let go for the entire album. And it's that one specifically, you cue it up and you from the first track, and you listen to the entire thing. This one, what I like is that you can listen to individual tracks, you can listen to the whole tracks, or you can click shuffle and it'll work 3 ways. And that for me deserves a mention, definitely on any list.
This is a band that really needs a major label, because I think a major label really helps them kind of ground them and give them an opportunity to sell themselves a little bit more.
Yeah,
because they like you said, they've done more concepts in the past when they've done their own, like gone on their own a little bit, and it's kind of been a mess.
Well, the thing is that the first album I really love, second album I really love, third album is their best album for my taste, and then it comes the hits and misses, and they have like 3 tracks that are just gorgeous, and the others are like rinse and repeat Deftones.
Yeah.
The last 2 albums particularly, they have hit a groove into what the band is now. I don't know if it has to do with the bass player, who is also the bass player for Quicksand, and he's a hell of a bass player. And if he's in a band, I'm listening to that band, just because what he brings to the table, it's top shelf. And I think having a guy that good forces the entire band to lock in. And I think that's part of the recipe for success, honestly. And what's your second choice?
My second one took 35 years to RSVP to our list, JD, but they have finally released an album after 35 years. And it's good, because the last album they released was kind of a dumpster fire, to be quite honest. And they are old man rock to the core, thrash to the absolute nth degree. But Coroner's Dissonance Theory is my second pick, because this is banger metal to the max. It's like if Slayer took the best of Testament and put them into their band. If you had the chops of Testament, but you had the ferocity of Slayer, you've got Corner. And it's just amazing what they do on this album. This is great old school metal where they're talking about society, and songs like Consequence where they're talking about our overlove of technology and AI. Christian Bound, which is of course talking about exploring the volcanic moons of the moon. And then 10 songs, 47 minutes. I mean, standard thrash, right? And old-fashioned Swiss thrashing, and it's beautiful. It reminds me a lot of like old school Death, or like I said, like old school Slayer in a lot of respects. I mean, the production of this album kind of reminds me of Haunting the Chapel a lot. So I mean, it's really old school Slayer. But 35 years it took for them to release this album. So
yeah, that tool.
This is great. This is really great stuff.
Okay, for me, between I'm gonna mention 2 women, and 2 women who sing in Spanish, but one more in Spanish than the other one. Rosalia's Lux album is massive, and she has guest appearances by Bjork and just people that you go like, what? The album, English, Spanish, French, Japanese, Hebrew, Latin, I think it totaled out to like 14 languages. It is a massive album, and I can't say that it's not a work of art.
Mm-hmm.
It is a work of art. Is it her masterpiece? Maybe. Will I see her live sometimes? Probably, if I have the opportunity. But it's not the one that struck to me, because I asked myself, how many times am I going to listen to this? How many times am I going to go like, which track I want to listen to? I want to listen to track 6.
Yeah.
It is so indulgent, and I'm not saying that as a diss. I'm saying it for what it is. A lot of people put it as the best album of the year, etc. I understand why they do it, but those people who say, "Oh, I watched so and so film just to try to impress other people."
Yeah.
That's kind of what this album feels like.
It is on a lot of trendy top 10 lists. So.
Yeah, and it's trendy, and I'm not saying it's the range of it is impressive. But my question is, how many times are you actually going to listen to that? If it strikes an emotional chord, and it should for some people, just the message that it's putting out, looks light. Just the fact that she's bridging heavy topics and languages, etc. It is a beautiful album, and I give it all its kudos. It deserves all the kudos. It doesn't make my top 2 choices though, because although I am moved by it, it's not something that I'm going to go back to. However, Natalia Lafourcade's Cancionera makes my skin bristle. It makes all the hairs on the back of my neck stand to attention. It is a tribute to boleros, slow, melodic Spanish ballads that are heartbreaking and heart-wrenching. And that album is what someone's going to queue up when they've had a few too many and they want to call their ex. That album is the one that you go like, and just look in the sunset and listen to it. That album is stunning. Musically, it is stunning because the excess of looks, this is the polar opposite. This is stripping back a song to its core. This is a balladeer singing their heart and their soul.
Nice.
And inviting you in. And it is the type of music I would kill to see in a tavern with like 40 people. Because I know everyone's going to be crying by the end of it, but at the same time happy. It is, she continues to impress me. I remember when I heard the song Hasta la Raíz, it is a song that resonates deeply with me. That means to your core, to your roots. That song is beautiful. And from there on, the way that she's representing Latinos in her way, in a world full of urban reggaeton and stuff like that, it just brings me so much joy, because it's not, it's like Michael Bublé, but different and more poignant. Michael Bublé singing song standards a la Frank Sinatra. And it's saying there's a place in this world for that music. She's bringing stuff from the 50s and 60s and 40s. God. And she's showing that a 16-year-old can listen to that song and cry.
Nice.
Oh, dude. Stunning. One of my favorite of the year.
So my number 12, as we get into our favorite indies of the year, is also a trendy pick, and I'll go into why it's 12 and not in the top 5 or whatever, where it lands in most top 10 lists. It's dirty soul rock meets punk cynicism. It is Geese's Getting Killed. It is an album that you kind of go, what the fuck, right? And it's just like, and you read the lyric sheet and you go, am I really supposed to be reading this? and yet it's beautifully, it's got this like 70s rock vibe to it. It's very like psychedelic rock, and it's like, I said that it almost plays like if you were subverting and turning the lovey-doveyness of the 70s rock into a cis twisted fever dream. That's basically what Geese is. And Song they have this incredible happy-go-lucky riffs like songs like Cobra and Half Real, and then they go into like gritty like I set a whole family on fire in their very first song, and songs that just talk about how I'm burying bones and this and that and just craziness. And the reason why I didn't make higher on my list is I found it a little too gritty. There was a lot of first album Nirvana kind of feel to it, where it was kind of like, what the fuck did I just hear kind of thing, Was that a trumpet or was that a fart, kind of thing. The production kind of was a little bit like that kind of misty, really gritty, like fogginess to it, which, some people appreciate, and I can appreciate that. It's just, when I'm listening to 45 to 60 minutes of something, I would like to be able to kind of absorb it a little bit more. But you can't deny its power, and you can't deny that it's just got catchiness to it. I mean, Cobra is one of those songs where I'm bouncing up and down. He's talking about fucking wrapping snakes around his arm. It's like, it's crazy. So I enjoy it. But I enjoyed that. So Geese's Getting Killed is my number 12 indie album of 2025.
So I listened to that album and I enjoyed it, but what happened to me is that it didn't click, and it didn't click in the way that Tom Waits didn't click the first time, that Elliott Smith didn't click the first time.
That for sure.
And it's something that I listened to a couple of times, and I'm smart enough at this age to go like, now's not the time that I'm going to enjoy this. And I'm going to listen to it one day and suddenly, bam, it's going to click.
Yeah, it's very that's very much how Nirvana was for me, right? And like all of a sudden it just kind of was like, whoa, I get it, I mean, I get a lot of I'm a little bit older and wiser now that I get a little bit more of it. I understand the subtext, but the problem is that not all the time was it crystal clear, and that's, like I said, like you didn't know if you were hearing a fart or a thunderstorm, and it's kind of like, well, I mean, at this point, I don't really need that noise in my life,
Totally get it. And again, from my top 12, the choices, a lot are how many times did I go back to it, and how many times did I hear a track and I go like, oh, let me pull up the album. Yeah. And that's what happened to me with a lot of these choices.
Yeah, I mean, I look back at my playlist of plays, and I was surprised at how often I played this album, though. So that's.
So, before I give you my 12, I have an ultra asterisk, and I'm not going to go into detail. I will just mention that Lara Lynn's Comic Book Cowboy. Someone recommended me that album literally 2 days ago. Today, I'm starting to listen. It's like, okay, let me see what, and I'm just hashing out the list. And I pulled this one up and I go like, and I need to mention that one because it's got PJ Harvey, it's got Fiona Apple, it's got Amy Mann, it's got Nick Drake vibes. I know it would have ranked in my top 12, and I'm kicking myself for not having found it before. They released it she released it in September, so I'm not gonna punch myself in the face too much. That one was great. So that one to the side, but I had to mention that because I know it's going to rank high. My number 12 is Shiner's Believe You Me. It was a big stoner shoegaze rock album year for me. This type of band makes me smile. When you can have a bass line that weighs 100 tons and isn't afraid to groove at the same time. I think all of the shoegazer bands that made my list, it's because I really enjoyed the mix. There were some other albums that I listened to that I was, these albums might have benefited because I listened to Wednesday's album and I'm like, there's something off, and I just I can't lock into it. And then I listened to one of these fuckers and it's like, oh, this is what I want.
Yeah.
The guitar to the level that I wanted to, the bass that it's present, and the drums that are present and know when to come and punch you in the face. It's just one of those albums that helped me relax, which was big for me this year without having to go into any vibes.
As soon as you said it to me and I played the first thing, like the first riff, I go, oh, this is so JD.
It is. I all my shoegazer tropes of my best of, it's in this album and several of the other ones. But seriously, if you like that type of rock, there's a lot on my list you're gonna like.
Here's the problem with that for me is it all sounds the same, and that's where I get a little bit crunchy on it, and so that's where I'm at with it. But
Totally valid. But for me, if I could press play and let the entire album play,
hmm
and
I can see that.
I wouldn't mind listen to it twice, I'd go
Yeah,
like, there's something here.
yeah, I can see that. So my number 11 is my big surprise on my list. It's an album I came into a little bit later that I passed along to JD. I don't know if it'll appear on his list or not, but it is. Look, I am a big fan of some singer-songwriters, Americana, esque stuff. Johnny Cash,
That's the
Janis
one that
Joplin.
I know the one that you're gonna say, and that's the one that I couldn't find on my list.
No, the sounds of the D lines is incredible mixture of beautiful storytelling with a hook and a manner of melody that just holds you in and never lets you out. I was so enthralled by just what they were talking about in these songs. The songs themselves very paint by numbers to a certain extent. But Left Hook Like Frasier, maybe one of my favorite songs of the year, is one I've listened to the most over the past month since discovering this album. I've listened to this song almost daily since I found them. They've already teased a single for 2026, so I'm looking forward to adding them to my list next year as well. I love her vocal stylings. I love the mellowness of it. This is speaking of albums that just make me smile and just make me think and just kind of let me kind of daydream. This is one of those albums.
Is it country though?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say it's more Americana, to be honest with you. I mean,
Still, it's got. That's the one that I had lost and that I had mentioned, and I was gonna jump in. That album is sensational, because it has that almost 60s, 70s.
yeah,
It's the lighter side of Motown in terms of the music and in terms of
hmm
the vocal approach, and just so pleasant.
hmm yeah. It's got a Mama and Papa's kind of feel to it a little bit, you
Yeah,
know.
big time.
But I dig her voice. I love the stories that they're telling. I think they're just fascinating. They're stories I think a lot of people would gloss over, but they're rural, everyday American stories that I think we as a country need to embrace a lot more. And so I'm just really, really pleasantly surprised that this hit my radar, and that thanks to Bandcamp for that, because Bandcamp was really the ones that spearheaded that for me. So.
I think YouTube was the one that brought me the most surprises in terms of random. Well, no, Instagram.
Mm, okay.
Instagram Reels. I got a lot of good stuff
I have
from
to
them.
say TikTok did a lot of good stuff for me this year in terms of
Which
music too. So
music discovery in 2025 is something else, isn't it?
it is. It really is. It's very weird. But yeah. Anyway, so especially when you're looking for stuff you want to add to your list, right? You're out there actively looking. It'll find you, and that's the cool thing
Yeah,
about music right now.
yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 11. Which I'm sorry, the album name is Mr. Luck and Miss Doom. Sorry, by the D
and
lines.
it is sensational. It should be on my list, and I lost it, and I don't know why I lost it from my list. And I'm like, what was the album? And I couldn't find it because I've been listening to so much music, and I've been searching so many things, and so many people recommend it, which I'm thankful for. Thanks, Antonio. Thanks, Jose. Thanks, Ruben. Thanks to Diali and Owe Howden from Instagram for all the recommendations. It's been a great year. My number 11 is, I don't know if I just wanted to be cheeky, but I did want to include Finger Eleven's Last Night on Earth. Finger Eleven is the only band that I think has released what used to be a big rock album, like late 90s, early 2000s, that type of album
Mm-hmm.
that you would see a commercial for it on the TV.
Mm.
I think they're the only band that has delivered that level of album, and I'm happy for them. They had a couple of lackluster albums. I think there's maybe one track that I didn't go like, oh, that's great, and I found a lot that I was like, this sounds big. This sounds top 40 big. And this is not going to make a comeback for rock, but I don't care. It sounds like a big rock album, and I needed a big rock album. I think the entire band is playing great. I think the vocalist, he just refuses to age vocally. They have a collaboration with Filter. I'm a big fan of Filter. And again, it brought me a lot. I was going into the album with trepidation, like, is this gonna be whatever? It's what Creed should be in terms of a band, in terms of what Creed fans think Creed sounds like. That's what this album is, except that it delivers. And I'm a cynical bastard till the end. But I remember watching their lead and their first single Above, and I still cue that song up a lot. It's very, very paint by numbers, 90s drop D rock, and I still love it. I was just happy to get an album from a band that's delivering to their potential.
I'll be honest, if you put them in a bag with Toad the Wet Sprocket and Jimmy Eats World and all those bands, I would not be able to tell you one from the other. I would not be able to.
I'm a fan of Toad the Wet Sprocket as well, but Toad the Wet Sprocket has misfires. Finger 11 just got lazy, dude. Not to the point. They hit that slump that Deftones hit. That it's just like, it's an album.
I think a lot of bands try to go into experimental. They fail, and they kind of just try to go back home. And you can never go home again. And you just have to find how you grow, right? And I think that's a tough thing for a lot of bands, and a lot of bands don't survive because of that. But there are bands that have gotten out of that, and when they do, you almost go, "That's the band I've been waiting for 10 years."
Precisely, and the song from the album title. It's out of left field. Like most of the album is like guitar driven rock, yada yada yada, and then that one is like a campfire song.
My number 10, Phantom Island by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I mean, the hardest working band of the last 5 years. I mean, they did it again. They just put out this thoughtful, engaging tour de force of musicianship. I mean, this is like, if you wanted to learn how to play music like an instrument, you got to listen to King Gizzard, because they, for some reason, are the best produced, well-orchestrated band, and they do it all on their own.
And the range, dude. The range,
it is
batshit.
It's catchy sometimes, and then it's powerful, and then it's just simply beautiful. Like they have like these like meditative songs that are just like you're on the top of a mountain, just kind of absorbing.
But you get songs that it's the road trip on your way to go up the hike, then the song that's the hike, and then the song that you listen when you get to the top.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you can say about King Gizzard where they have probably a fault is their lyrics. They're lyrically, they're kind of paint by numbers. They're not as powerful as a lot of bands ahead of them on my list, but they're still so fucking good. And I'm just so impressed by them. I love that they keep reinventing themselves, keep putting stuff out there, keep doing what they want to do. And it's like they're kind of like a reality TV show where they have 5 new seasons, and then they have an all-star season, right? They do 5 albums, and then they do an all-star album where they do this incredible thing where they've never done before. Like, I mean, their heavy metal album is probably the best heavy metal album in the last 10 years, in my personal opinion. So
listening to their discography, dude.
Yeah, you'll be like, what the fuck?
Now, the thing is that people should listen to the discography from the start to where they are now, and then just try to comprehend in the time they've done it.
Well, those who have 2 weeks to do that. But yeah,
pretty much.
This is just a phenomenal album. I wish it was higher, because it is, like I said, the best produced album of 2025 for me. But like I said, lyrically, and it does kind of same toward the middle of the album a little bit. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But it's just so beautiful and so well done. I can't not have it on my list.
Didn't make my list because there's other stuff that I listen to more. And then when I was re-listening, I was like, oh shit, let me listen to this one again. And my number 10 is one of those albums that it's like, am I sure I want it on the list? And then when I see how many times I've listened to it, it's like, what are you thinking, you idiot? The band is called Activity. The album is called 1,000 Years Away. It is more stoner rock. It is more shoegazer rock. It is not exactly the same as Shiner.
No.
All my shoegazer bands that I put on the list is because they have a particular thing.
Yeah, I don't know the rest of your list, but this probably, I would venture to say, is your most Pearl Jammy band of the bunch.
I think so, because it is more mid-tempo. And again, something that
It's also very catchy. It's got that catchy vibe to it, right?
The thing is that the catchiness is not necessarily the chorus. It's not anything else. It is the lead vocal hook, and it is the bass line. And when I find myself bobbing to it, I go like, okay. And then when I see the times that I listen to it, I was like, okay, this one has to make the list. Are there albums that I mentioned in my honorables that I think should rank higher? Whatever. This one I kept going back to.
I can see that.
Maybe because the covers are red. Who knows? I don't know.
I don't think that's is that even a thing now? I mean, I think covers are almost irrelevant on streaming as we're talking about this now. I mean, they're nice. They're nice. There's some really great and I think every single one of my albums has a really good cover, ironically.
Exactly. But it's not a selling point.
It's not a factor for me.
No, and this one was recommended by a friend, and he was like, "I think you're really gonna like it." And then when I heard the first track, I'm like, "Oh, I'm fucked. This is gonna be on my list."
Okay, my number 9 was suggested to me by somebody you all might know. He's sitting right next to me. British crashiness at its best. I don't know if it's gonna make his list or not, but he's the one who brought it to me. And since then, I've been like, "What the fuck? Why has this not been in my life?" It is Viagra Boys by the Viagra Boys, which is just, these guys are just fun. They're just fun because they don't give a shit. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a shit. There's a couple skips here for me because they get a little too musically. They try to be a little bit more musical in a couple of their tracks, but when they're just being their Britishness crassiest selves, their street cred anthems are the best. I mean, Man Made of Meat is also a song that I listened to that song probably more than anything in the last 10 weeks. And I defy you not to get swept up in the choruses. In a year that I think is devoid of chorus bands for me, this is the one that I think has the best choruses on it. Viagra Boys are just catchy. You'll be like, oi, oi, oi throughout the whole fucking album. And it's just so amazing. They're welcome. I'm real excited that I found this band thanks to JD.
My number 9 is Just Mustard, and this takes me to last year when I listened to English Teacher. Just Mustard, they have an album called We Are Just Here. Shoegazer rock, except that they have 2 lead vocalists. One's a male, one's a female. They alternate, and that's why this one ranked higher for me. Musically,
kind of like a Skillet.
A little bit like that, but
not as heavy, maybe.
Not as heavy. The guitars are more jangly, more REM-ish, rather than like heavy fuzz. It had been a while since I listened to an album that when I started to listen to, I was like, let me stop what I'm doing and let me just close my eyes and listen to the album, because it took me back to those 90s albums, like I think Cranberries. That vibe, not necessarily Cranberries, because that's a very niche and specific type of vibe. But
it's probably not punk enough to be Sonic Youth. But that's kind of the kind of idea you're talking about, where it's like they alternate vocals.
The one song is the lead is male, and another song the lead is female, and that's
just like Sonic Youth. Sonic Youth does the same thing.
Yeah. Sonic Youth does do that. But the things that Sonic Youth,
they're just punk as fuck. So yeah,
they're just another thing.
Yeah.
They're the type of band that this band
they don't have a genre. Yeah, they're different from everything else.
Yeah, but that one, it just.
But I wanted to give somebody an idea of what you're talking about.
Yeah. But it was just a pleasure to listen to. Nothing was too heavy, and I could just. It took me back to when I would listen to music on my CD player in the 90s and just turn off the lights and just listen to music. And I found that so refreshing, especially in 2025, to just queue up something that I know that is going to hit me in the fields without destroying me. This year, if there's a year in my life where I needed that, thank you, Just Mustard, because I did need that.
Boy, if you're front loading or back loading your shoegazer rock, that makes me interested in what you might be coming up with in the top 5, top 6, man. We might see a different JD coming up.
You're gonna see.
There's not that many shoegazer bands. I can't imagine there's 12 shoegazer bands that are on this list. So
no, I have one more shoegazer band, and then from 7 forward, it's curveball after curveball, and I have thoughts.
Well, my one shoegazer entry is doom metal at its finest. And it is it's 6 songs from it's a band called Goya, and they're right up there in this genre with Caius and Corrosion of Conformity bands and Death and at the Gates. They really bring this energy and flow with this beautiful ethereal state of mind kind of just background, like you feel like you're in the midst of a swamp, and then all of a sudden you hear this background of guitar just and it just it is amazing. The musicianship is flawless. The only thing I would say about it is I miss the percussion of like bands like Caius and At the Gates. Their percussion sometimes lingers away from what they're doing because they're so guitar heavy and they're so bass heavy, and a lot of their songs have riffs that are just guitar and echo chamber. But this Goya does the same thing. But what Goya does is they do these like really intricate intros because they have this grand production at the very beginning, and it just kind of fades. It doesn't stop and then goes hardcore metal, right? Like most of those would do, right? Like you hear bands have like the orchestral beginning, and then all of a sudden the guitar just blows you off the smoke screens, right? This fades into the guitar, and the guitar kind of plays along with it, and then it just builds and builds and builds. Very, very cool stuff. Goya is a band to check out if you haven't. If you're a big fan of like Caius and At the Gates and old school bands like Death and
Had you sent me this one and I didn't listen to it?
What's that?
Had you sent me this one and I didn't?
I don't think so. This was one of those last minute one. There's 2 on here that I don't think I sent you at all. But
because that sounds like something I need to listen to.
Yeah, I think you probably dig it a little bit. Yeah, sorry. It was one of those last minute.
Dude, you saw my honorable. I'm happy. Yeah. I'm good.
But that's my number 8. The name of the album, by the way, is In the Dawn of November by Goya.
My final shoegazer band in my top 12 is Super Heaven, self-titled. I'm a big fan of Failure. I'm a big fan of Hum. And Super Heaven has those big droning guitars that it's like this wash. That's how I can describe it. It's a big wash of noise, a big wall of wash. And you can just float and forget that existence exists. And you're like, screw it. Out of all the shoegazer bands that I mentioned, this one is the one that I kept going back to. And I was like, am I sure I like this one? And again, that one I didn't ask myself. I was like, how many times have I gone back to this one? A couple. When you get what you want, and in the moment that you're like, you know what, I'm in the mood for this. Let me see if I can find something. And then you listen to like 4 albums, and it's like, this is off, and this is up. And then one hits the sweet spot, dude. Nail. Hammer, just perfect. Musically, if you like that type of rock, if you like that type of mid-tempo, big guitars, big washy wall of music.
My number 7. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little story, boys and girls. The punk rock community is divided right now, and it's divided by one band, and there are 2 types of Dropkick Murphy fans out there. There's the ones who are with Al Barr and Ken Casey together, the before times and the after times when Al Barr has left the band and Ken Casey took over. And there's a grand debate. And as far as I'm concerned, all that can fuck off. Because Dropkick has been maintaining its old school punk meets Irish drinking folk persona throughout. I mean, Ken Casey has always been with the band, so he's always had the same mentality. You know, yeah, Al has that more gritty, grimy voice, but Ken really knows how to perform. And I've seen him twice with Ken, and I can tell you there's not a drop off whatsoever. This effort is very strong. I love the powerful messages. I think they can't be ignored. I mean, anthems like Who Will Stand With Us and Streetlights bring the energy. and they bring it up to another gear, right? And then you have the Magnificent Ballad-esque, one of the songs that makes me tear up, Chesterfield's and Aftershave. I love the message of that song. I love the idea of that song. I love the way that Ken belts that out and has this you can feel that this is a song that he just is in him. It's his soul, right? And you feel that, and it's really cool. And then you get the playful, deep tracks like The Big Man, which is a tribute to Pennywise, and All School Days Are Over. These are just kind of funny, tongue-in-cheek-esque punk rock songs, and I find them delightful. The Irish drinking songs, and if you get deep into the extended version of the album, you kind of go, I don't need all these guest spots and all this crap. But the 14 songs that is labeled as the album, solid. I think there's maybe one or two skips for me, but otherwise, that's why it's 7 and not anything higher. But that is a great album, and For the People is the name of the Dropkick Murphys album, and that's my number 7.
I have to check out the version that doesn't have the extra tracks.
Yeah.
I think that's going to change how I feel about it. The high points in that album, dude.
Yeah, they're higher than most. Yeah.
It is something that the Dropkick Murphys have is that, and what a good punk or the type of band that I like is that they have some anthemic choruses, and here it is no exception. That I really enjoyed that album.
There's a presence where you feel kind of their live vibe, right? I mean, that's kind of what they are.
Yeah. Okay, I promise it was gonna get weird from 7 on up, and I'm starting weird. It's an album that I kept going back to and going, what the hell am I listening to? And it's the type of album that I'm gonna listen to while I write, because I'm like, this is what I need. Igor's Amen is what the fuck to the upteenth level. It is dark operatic metal. It is a symphonic Mr. Bungle. It's got drum and bass. It's got an opera singer. And then it is such an overload and excess.
Have you seen the video for their single?
No.
Oh man, you'll be like, holy fuck, what? It's like it's performance art at its finest. It's incredible.
And it is it's like overly dramatic metal. Who knew that I needed a harpsichord riff with drum and bass, and then switching into it is an exercise in excess.
It's kind of like the Who. It's like the weird metal.
but the Who would never. I think the weirdest thing that I could say about the Who is when they had a song that they didn't get the budget for. I think it's a quick one when they went away that they had to sing cello because they wouldn't pay for the cellos, and so they sang cello, 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 cello. Every time that I thought about this list, I thought about that album. And I'm like, this is an album that it's just going to mark me. It's an artist that I want to listen more to. If you've ever listened to the Amanda Galas, that's who I can compare it to. I'm not saying that I love her. I'm saying that some of her songs are jarring. And Igor's Amen.
But Igor's a lot heavier than.
It depends on what you. Emotionally raw, the Amanda Galas is just.
Yeah. It's fair.
It's raw. It is just insane,
wow.
And I needed some insanity. This type of insanity. this type of insanity. I really enjoyed it. As soon as that first track just breaks into it, you go like, oh shit, here we go. It's like a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster you've been on, and every time that you get on, you still get nervous. That's how I can describe it, because I've listened to this album at least 8 times.
Yeah, and it's one of those. It's one of those roller coasters when you hit the curve, you know you're about to hit the curve, so you brace for it, and then you
lean into it, and you lean into it. Yeah. That's what it is just out there.
It's a little too out there for me. Otherwise, yeah, I agree with you. But musically, though, they're very good. They're very good musically. So.
Again, symphonic metal, Mr. Bungle.
My number 6. These Western Canadians hit the scene for me a few years ago. They finally put out a full-length album, and it is everything I hope for and more. It's Watch It Die by Homefront. they're Western Canadians who take you on this ride through British New Wave and punk and street manifestos that, you know, harken back to me, like my youth, and like bands like The Business and Youth Brigade. And they even have a little bit of The Cure in them. They have a little bit of, I say they have songs that play like a John Hughes soundtrack, like Watch It Die and Between the Waves. And then they have punk rock anthems like For the Children, Fuck All. And it's just like one of those fist pumping anthems. And they just do it with such panache. They have this way of blending the two new waves and punk together to give it that kind of that old school British feel to it. And I love that about this band. This band is really good. And I wish I could put it higher, but I just found 5 other albums that I liked more, but this is really good stuff. This will be the band that I listen to 5 years from now, where some of these other bands might fall off. So.
Yeah. So this one I mentioned to you, and you might have gone, what the fuck? But I kept going back to it. Van Amoris with Dave Lombardo. So Dave Lombardo is the drummer for Slayer and Grip Inc. He has this side project. I don't know how the hell he connected with these women, and I don't care. So the album is called To Cross or To Burn, and it's not every day I find something kind of sexy to add to my rotation. It's almost burlesque. It's like a dark goth burlesque 07. And I know that Dave has a reputation for being a metal drummer.
Is it kind of like In This Moment, kind of burlesque-y?
No, it's just like smoky room, going slow.
Okay.
Not
like noir metal.
No, it's not. It's not metal at all.
Okay.
And that's why I was impressed, because Dave showed different types of chops in terms of the drumming. And the drumming, I couldn't identify that it was Dave Lombardo just because his style of drumming. I'm used to him in these heavy metal scenarios, and just seeing him play something else, I go like, shit, this guy has serious chops in terms of other stuff, almost jazz. Yeah. So it has this smoky jazz club feel to it, that it's just a smokeful club, and it's I just did not have this on my radar, and I see the name Dave Lombardo. I'm like, man, it's been a while since I listened to a Dave track. And I'm gearing to go. I got my Grip Inc. and my Slayer brain. And suddenly I listen to the song and I go like, what the fuck? This is cool. And it was like, going back to my major labels, it was like Natalia Lafourcade's album. It's such a throwback that it was refreshing, because it's not, oh, let's play something like from the 70s, or it's like, let's play something from like the 40s where prohibition was a thing. Dude, I was a very happy camper to find that one. That one I found on YouTube, and very, very surprised. I really enjoyed it.
My number 5 is also one that I got introduced to about a few days ago, and it makes my list because it's the best metal album I've heard all year. Thanks to my friends at Banger TV, they were actually the ones who recommended it. I saw it on a lot of their lists, and I said, okay, I'm gonna give it a go. And then I instantly fell in love with it. It's sword and sorcery thrash metal at its best. It's a band called Warbringer, another Canadian band, by the way. And their album Wrath and Ruin. Talking about cool covers. This is a cool cover. They sound like Slayer, and with the lead singer of Amon Amarth kind of idea. And it's all about, you know, fantasies and fantasy warfare and traveling to distant lands and hero journeys and these beautiful, beautiful, like, drawn out 7-minute opuses that are just shreds of just guitar brilliance and just beautiful orchestral background kind of stuff with great lyrics. The one thing that really, I mean, the lyrical content is just like, yeah, this Viking lore and just beautifulness. I said that it shreds and leaves nothing but resin and blood-soaked battlefield scars when you listen to it. And it's just amazing. It is easily the best thing I've heard in metal this year. So Warbringer's Wrath and Ruin is my number 5 album of 2025.
My number 5 is the EP that made my list. It is Red Moon Apostles. The title is Beneath the Burning Sands, and it reminded me how much I miss Mark Lanigan. Mark and Dark Mark and all his iterations. I included a character based on Mark Lanigan in Beyond Human. Mark Lanigan is a very special vocalist to me. This EP reminded me of him in a way that since Lost Satellite released the last track that Mark recorded, it had been a while since I listened to something not Mark Lanigan or Screaming Trees or Queens of the Stone Age that had that vibe to it. Obviously, Mark is near and dear to my heart. Obviously, this is not Mark Lanigan. It is not like a cheap copy. It is an EP that reminded me of one of my favorite vocalists. And even being an EP and 6 songs long, and it's like 28, maybe 30 minutes, but there's albums that are like 32 minutes on this list. It just, if you have an album that has filler, and cutting that filler produces an EP like this, produce an EP like this.
Nice.
That's dude, perfect.
All right, here we go. These 4 albums probably never left my list at the time that I heard them, that I knew they were going to be on them. And my number 4 is the band I was talking about earlier that I was referring to, that I think kind of waned away from who they were, tried some stuff, came back the last couple of albums, kind of really found their sound and found who they are, and it's paid off in spades, because At Peace, my number 4 album, At Peace, by Propagandy, is just stellar work by them. It incorporates everything that they are. The tongue-in-cheek, cynical "fuck you" lyrics that the band has always been known for, the punky, danceable, beats that they've always had. But this is so mature. There's a maturity to them that has not been layered on any other album. I don't know if it's Gurewitz and him getting together and making this production sound a little bit more streamlined, or if it's just Propagandy finding their footing and kind of going with. I mean, At Peace makes me think that that's kind of what they did. They kind of found who they were, and now they're at peace with it, right? And they're going to be that band. And there is not a skippable track on this album for me. I listened to this album all the way through. Yes, I have couple favorites, like Cat Guy is one of my favorite songs of the year. They march to a political beat that I think is very good, and I agree with everything that they're talking about. And they're really, this is just a wonderful album. I heard it when it came out. I reviewed it, and I just feel like this album never lost its luster for me throughout the entire year. So At Peace, number 4, is Propaganda.
My number 4. So 2 years ago, I listened to a Tiny Desk that brought such a warm smile to my face. And I found it so charming, disarmingly charming. And I was like, who the hell is this girl? And there's an artist from the UK called Dodie. Her Tiny Desk is amongst my favorite, easy top 10 favorite Tiny Desk concerts. She had an EP that was really good, and she had some other stuff, and then she did a side project, and I'm like, is she gonna release an album? She released an album, and it's called Not For Lack of Trying. This is a YouTuber that got to the point where she got invited to Tiny
this is
Desk.
her. Okay.
Yeah,
we've had conversations about her.
Super charming. She's got a lisp, and it works fantastic. She's extremely quirky. She did a cover of a Robbie Williams song this year that I listened to a lot, but from this album, I'm fine. The way that she attacks, she's very musically oriented. She plays the clarinet, she plays the piano, she plays the guitar, she plays the uke. She's got a lot of range, and she's got a vibe to her that is just very particular, very uniquely charming, and from Gen Zers that don't annoy the shit out of me. She's very talented. She's a great singer. She's a great songwriter, and the way that she attacks a song, and the way that a song can be so gentle and so so subdued, and then other ones that are just you see when the strings swell and then they pull back and it's just the song, and then the strings swell again. Her approach, and that this is indie. You know, she's talented enough for other people to say, I'll distribute your album. So that is all I have to say about that. But she is all that and a bag of chips and then some. She is a breath of fresh air that I really needed, because, again, with the heavy times, I needed some lightness. And although she talks about some heavy stuff, it's going to be okay.
Well, speaking of lightness and Gen Xers I don't hate, my number 3 album of 2025 is Moisturizer by The Wet Leg.
I didn't. Oh God, I didn't listen to that. Oh God, I suck.
We reviewed it.
we reviewed it, and since we reviewed it, I didn't put it on my best. Oh fuck! I thought that was 2024.
No, it came out in like April of this year. So
nah, dude, that's a good one.
So yeah, I'm surprised because I thought it would be on your list. Moisturizer, Wet Leg is a good sophomore effort. I did find it a little bit more commercial than the first effort. Obviously, they've kind of settled into that kind of vibe. But even those tracks like 11:16 and other tracks like that, they have still that Wet Leg ness to them, and I'm okay with that. You know, CPR, songs like that, they're above it. They're cut above everything else that you're gonna hear. You know, the band above them that I have next took Wet Leg and kicked the door down and brought it to another level. But for the most part, this is the cute pop rock, but it is catchy. It is very poignant. I don't know anybody who writes better lyrics than Wet Leg. Maybe Idols is probably the only one I can think of, but they are just phenomenal musicians, and I really dug this album. I listened to it a lot, and CPR is a big reason why. That and Pillow Talk are my 2 favorite songs on that album. Pillow Talk's nasty and really, really should be on the next album I'm going to talk about. But yeah, this is a really great album. Wet Legs, Moisturizer is my number 3.
Okay, my number 3 is gonna piss people off across the board, and I give 2 fucks. It is the most streamed album of 2025. It is the most streamed artist of 2025, and he is a fellow Puerto Rican. The thing is that Bad Bunny's album, even though it has some reggaeton songs, made me cry because it does come from the heart. And as a certified rocker, and as someone who openly says that my favorite band is Pearl Jam and shall always be Pearl Jam, this album is special. There are some reggaeton tracks that might turn some people off. That is fine. He took typical Christmas music from Puerto Rico and he made tracks with that. He had a chart-topping salsa song. He had a song that is jarring. It's what happened in Hawaii, and what happened in Hawaii, he doesn't want it to happen in Puerto Rico. And for someone who gets written off because he doesn't enunciate as well as some other people, and I can't disagree with that.
I think that's such garbage, though.
No, but that
is such a garbage fucking claim.
It is what it is, and
I think it's kind of charming, to be honest with you.
He is charming and a half, and he's a for the level of success that he has, the way that he approaches things, you can't fake that. There's a song called Turista, Tourist. It's a ballad, dude, and lyrically, it's beautiful. And to say that this guy did a beautiful song, it is what it is. There's a song, thanks to this fucker, people know what Pitorro de Coco is. Pitorro is like, it's Puerto Rican moonshine. And Café con Ron, that in the morning you have coffee and in the afternoon you have rum. And I saw people in Bangkok and Shanghai singing there, y tirar más foto. Singing in Spanish, dude. And and just happy, and not putting this on the list is not an option. Some people hate him for X or Y. He has had questionable lyrics, and these are people who are also fans of Tupac and Biggie, and it's like, dude, get over yourself. This kid is something special. This album is something special. If you want a slice of Puerto Rico, not all of the album, there's some tracks that are just too much reggaeton, but that is part of our culture too, and people hate that because they're fancier than that. Fuck that. I listened to reggaeton when I was a teen, and I was growing up in Isla Verde, and I listened to the noise, and I listened to Prayero. Yes, I'm a rocker. Yes, my favorite bands are Pearl Jam, Nine Inch Nails, Soundgarden, Radiohead, Tool, etc. But I listened to that as well, and this has so much of our DNA, dude. That it's a really good album. And I pulled up the album, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 songs from one artist that I put on my favorites. So there you go.
Yeah. It's gotta be on the list then. It's gotta be there. My number 2 album is the raunchier version of Wet Leg, and it's the Lambrini Girls, Who Let the Dogs Out. This album fucking rules. These ladies just fucking bring it, and they bring it hard, and they don't stop. They punch and punch and punch and punch. Corporate Culture is one of my favorite songs. Put that on rotation over and over again. But this entire album, it is like watching slam poetry get a punk soundtrack to it, and it is phenomenal. Like, you can't get it out of your head when you listen to this album. And this album it fucking hums, and it doesn't pull any punches, which it shouldn't, and she doesn't, and I really just love this. This was the biggest debate I had on my list between 1 and 2, to be honest with you. This just because 1 is more of who I am. So this album, it while it is perfect, I don't have a skip on it. It is different for me. So I have to get used to being different a little bit. So that Pretty Girls, though, number 2, Who Let the Dogs Out, I think number 2 is a pretty apt spot for this album. So that's where
my number 2 is Viagra Boys. You spoke to them, and when there's a chorus that is so cheeky that I just have to smile. My top 2 choices had a lot of that, so I needed to either disconnect or relax, lock in, hear something that was insane that didn't bother me, or smile and laugh. And Viagra Boys' album, there's no shortage of what the fuck phrases that you go like, what did I just listen to? But it's just so catchy, man. Yeah. And when I was checking for albums of the year, it's like Viagra Boys has an album. I'm like, really? Fuck. Okay, let's cue it up, because I've listened and I've enjoyed, and I think this is the album from them that I've enjoyed the most. And I think I've enjoyed it the most because it's the one that made me smile the most. I was like, these cheeky fuckers, they just bring it, and it has a lot of energy. I want to see them live again. Not again. I also want to see them live. It's got some Idols vibe to it, but not exactly. It's like they're cousins, and I don't mind. Yeah. Because they're the more dirty cousins, though. Exactly. The ones that.
Which is kind of weird to say about Idols, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's the ones that have even more questionable behavior, because I think Idols have conducted themselves in a way that is almost like responsible adults. But yeah, Viagra Boys are still like, don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's a great album. But I really enjoyed that album. I'm glad I got used to it.
I would say it's Viagra Boys.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably about right. All right, so here we go. Our number 1s. Here we are. We are finally to that moment. My number 1 album of 2025 is a band that I've had on my countdown before. It's a band I even said this when I put them on my countdown the first time. And I said, look out for this band. They're going to do something special. Drain's Is Your Friend album is something special. There is an amazing amalgamation of hardcore, just straight up old school hardcore with metal rock infused, just tempo changes, chord changes. They do incredible things vocally, differently. I just feel like, and then the production of this album is pristine. I just feel like everything about it, like sung to me right from the beginning, from chord one to the last chord on the album. I absolutely absorbed this thing with incredible enthusiasm, and I just loved every moment of it. I think there's anthems on here. There's thinkable, beautiful tracks. There's not a ballad to be had, but there is songs that are a little bit slower tempo that give you that kind of esoteric thought process to them. If you read the lyric sheet, you kind of understand what I'm saying. Uh, it it is all about, look, I just want to do my thing. Fuck you, get out of my way, let me do my thing. And I think this band is really coming to its own. This is a perfect album for me. The moment I heard it and listened to it all the way through, I said, "This is gonna be my number one." I knew it right from the get go. I think I even told JD that at one point. I said, "This is probably my number one album."
No, the other thing that you've mentioned is that if they release something, it's probably going to be on your list, and we have our favorites like that.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was hoping for from them, and so It Strains is your friend, my number one album of 2025.
And my number one, you already mentioned, which is Lamborghini Girls, who let the dogs out. How the fuck can this be their first album?
Yeah,
it's their first full album.
Yeah.
So it is a more aggressive, which is saying something, a more aggressive version than Amelia and the Sniffers.
Oh yeah.
And what I wanted Amelia and the Sniffers sophomore album to be, we got something else that I still enjoyed. But what I wanted their follow-up album to be, this, I get it from this one. Yeah. And in terms of being abrasive, unapologetic, fucked up, in your face. So I agree with you on company culture, and that one just strikes true on so many levels because I've worked in so many places and I was like, fuck. And they're just riffing off the existence of HR. Yeah. And the comedy that it is. They have a song called Big Dick Energy. Yeah. They have a song called No Homo. Yeah. And it's just bashing on the people that are homophobic. It is bashing on the people that are talking about big dick energy and saying they have bigger dick energy than any male. Scarcity is Fake, which is communist propaganda, is one of the ones that you go, fuck, dude, that's pretty. And you think you're getting to your threshold, and then they finish off the album with Cuntology 101. Yeah. It's like, there are absolutely no fucks given. If you check the entire premises, if you check their entire bank accounts, if you check anywhere they've resided, there are no fucks to be found anywhere.
Their chorus is very interesting too. It's almost kind of Indian fire dance in a lot of ways. The way that they do their choruses,
and it is fiery. But it does have that chant to it.
Yeah,
and that. And there's just a lot of intelligence.
She even changes her vocal range when she does the chorus, which I find very interesting.
I just, when I'd listened to them, I knew they were on my radar. Mm-hmm. And then I saw they had an album. I was like, oh shit, they got an album. And then I listened to it. I was like, holy fuck. Mm-hmm. I think I had mentioned it. Mm-hmm. And then a couple of months later, you go like, dude, I listened to that. And I'm like, fuck, I told you, dude. So if I mention if I probably mention a band enough, you know that it's gonna make my list. When you have the musical chops, when you have the energy, when you sound like you were recorded live, but in the best way that means, when all the instruments are there, and when the lyrics are just, they're razor sharp and they cut to the bone and beyond it, and it is unapologetic and real and authentic, I'm going to be there and I'm going to listen to it.
I think it's a really, really special album by a special band, and it makes me sad that I didn't plan to see them at Riot Fest, because they were at Riot Fest the same time I was, and I ended up watching something else, and probably wish I had been at the Lamborghini Girls be honest with you, what I was watching. But anyway, that being said, it's stellar stuff. I really felt like this year was kind of fuck it all, kind of year for music. And for me, especially, the things that resonated for me were the things that kind of were like either brought me joy from my past or kind of spoke to me as where I am as a person right now. And I think that's kind of an interesting dynamic for my 12.
And you gravitated towards that. I did gravitate towards for some old school things, and the things that allowed me to disconnect for a moment.
Yeah.
Those albums really landed in a place that I needed sonically. Okay, this is going to be an epic rant. I already gave the disclaimer to Joe that A, this is going to be long. B, I am committed to reviewing every single album that I mentioned in my honorable mentions list, because this year was fantastic in terms of music. It's been horrible for pretty much all other things, although there's been good news and there's been good times. So let's just dive right in. First off, it's been the year of EPs. If you like the sound of Japanese, Indian, gorgeous music, I got two for you. One is Crazy Blues, and the EP is called Lot. And the other one is called, I'm going to try, Yotsuno Menodi Reminiscence. Both of those are excellent. Both of those are female-led. Both of those have clean guitars, crisp drums, and they're just good. And it's like, why did you not give me an album? After that, there's a band called Eva. It's basically a lead single with 3 other B-sides. The B-sides are good. The single I put on heavy rotation for a couple of weeks. It's called I Didn't See It Coming. And lastly, Emma Harner's Taking My Side EP. This is just stuff that I come across on YouTube. And I'm like, okay, I need to find this out. And it's a singer-songwriter, but rather than just like, let's be honest, lazy guitars, she's really good. Like on an acoustic, she's really good. And I'm like, okay, no one's going to be able to do that. So that's the EPs. Buckle up, children. These are the honorable mentions. And I will start. She didn't break my top 12. I'm a big fan of Natalia Gacina from Chagrin. Her and her husband have a side project called Grok, which is Polish New Wave. And I didn't know that I needed Polish New Wave in my life, but I did, and you might too. Check it out. It's a completely different vibe to Chagrin, and that they have that range, I'm a fan of that. César, Pequeña Vertigem de Amor, Brazilian chill out music. This is something that a friend of mine shared with me, and I'm like, I just need this in the beach. It is that type. If you want to be transported to somewhere tropical where this goes from a stout to something more on the lines of a Corona, that one. Facts, Wish Defense, that band, or at least that album, sounds like parts shellac, parts Fugazi. Hell of an album, really good. I enjoyed the Dax Riggs album, but it did not crack my top 12. It has Dark Dirge Blues, and it's like, try to imagine if Marilyn Manson suddenly went kind of singer-songwriter. It's got that vibe. If that sounds something interesting, go for that. There's a band called Squid, and they have an album called Cowards. Try to imagine a lighter version of At the Drive-In. Not that much of a killer direct assault. Kind of weird, kind of, you don't know where they're gonna go, but they're gonna get you there. Pretty fun. Castle Rat, The Bestiary, female lead in an epic metal setting. This one really hurt me not to include in the top 12, because I thought that I needed metal, but there was just others that just nudge this one out. But that one,
I've heard this show will change your life, is what I've heard. That's what I've been given. So
if you've seen the video for Tenacious D's Wonder Boy, just wrap it up. If you told me that she's Dio's daughter, I believe you.
100%.
It's to that point. Heartworms. The album is called Glutton for Punishment. It didn't break the top 12 because not all the album blew me away, but the track Warplane and the video, both the track on itself, dude, top shelf, really enjoyed it. Dead Pioneers, Post American. It is punk as fuck. I saw them open for Pearl Jam. They're very political. So if you're not liberal, skip it. If you are, give it a listen, give it a read. It's intense, dude. And the live show, they did not pull punches. And it's like, if you don't like this, don't worry. We got another song for you. Bam! Model, Actriz, Pirouette, the type of album I queue up to get stuff done. It's got this kind of electronica dance rock groove to it. It's something that if you need to get into like a groove to do stuff, it is perfect. It is also good listening music. I'm not just gonna say it's white noise, but for me, it just helped me get in a mindset, and it was really fascinating. Penelope Antenna, Joy Will Find Its Way. Beautiful singer-songwriter album. If you're looking for a mellow album, check this one out. Greet Death, Die in Love, Shoegazer Beauty. This one didn't make the cut, not because it's not good or it's not that it's not better than others. There's just other albums that connected better with me. And for me, if it made it to the top 12 at some point, I was like, I gotta listen to this again and again. And I would probably listen to it once or twice in one go, let it go for a couple of days, and then go back to it, because this one's a great one, but there's just others that really connected with me. Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. They do win #1 for best band name on this list. The album is called Pogo Rodeo. Fun, fuzzy, and if you remember those early 2000 bands like The Hives, Franz Ferdinand, The Strokes, that type of vibe, that's what they go for. They didn't crack my top 12 this year. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Phantom Island, another retro amazing album. They don't know how to put a bad album out, and I'm sure I'll say the same in 3 months, maybe. I've never seen a band that prolific. It's ridiculous. Aesop Rock, the album is called I Heard It's a Mess There Too. So lyrically, it is fantastic. And I like Aesop Rock's, his style, the way he raps, etc. And it didn't crack the top 12 because I needed a little bit more variety. Run the Jewels, Kendrick Lamar, and some other hip hop artists have ruined me for other artists that put out good albums. Only reason it's not there, totally worth your time. Rocket, R is for Rocket. I thought this one was gonna crack the top 12, and it was a little top heavy for me. And the back half, it's not bad, it's just not as good. Female lead, guitar rock, good drums, good rock. So in terms of rock, maybe a little more polished or nuanced version of Veruca Salt. If you like that, give it a go. The Mars Volta, Lucro Sucio, didn't crack my top 12 for the simple reason that I am a fan of Mars Volta. I've listened to all their stuff, and I will listen to this, but it's not going to be something that I go back to. How much of a dick am I for that? And how tough was this top 12 for me to say that about this album? Big Wreck, the rest of the story. I have a soft spot for Big Wreck. I've often thought that they're the poor man's top 40 version of Soundgarden, which is a dick thing to say because Ian Thorley is a hell of a vocalist and he's a hell of a guitarist. But I always hear the influence of Chris in his voice and a different type of attack in terms of the music. I think they put out a hell of an album. I heard some of their other more recent ones, and I think this one puts it closer to what they can deliver. And didn't crack the top 12 because, again, hell of a year. Speaking of top 40 versions of bands, if you like Tool but think that they're too pretentious or a little too much, you probably love Chevelle. Chevelle, they had an album called Brightest Blasphemy, 9 tracks, solid album, no fat in it. Not as good as La Gárgola, which I think is their last really top to bottom solid album, but I think they did a hell of an effort. Lemonheads, Love Chant, that this guy is alive, I don't understand it. There's some people that are alive that you go like, how? Openly says he's a functioning drug addict, and sometimes he uses more, sometimes he uses less, etc. It's a heavy listen. It's not the final cut from Pink Floyd, but it's a heavy listen when you take into consideration the context. And then he was out of it for like 16 years, dude, and he was in and out of rehab, and he was close to the precipice more than once. So first off, I'm happy that Evan Dando is alive. It's an album I recommend that you listen to and read. The lyrics, poignant. His vocals, not as great as they used to be, but it's a guy that he's alive, and I don't know how. AFI's Silver Bleeds the Black Sun. They came back swinging. Holy crap! What a return to form. It's just it didn't crack the top 12 because there were just 12 other albums that I like more. But Lord, and his look is a conversation piece. He did an interview with a t-shirt that's all torn up, and it's like I kept looking between his hair, which is super poof, like a poofy pompadour, his stash, which is about 18 centimeters wide, and his nipple that was constantly showing. I was like, what the hell is going on with this guy? I've seen them live. I think that one's one of their best albums. And I got two more. It's Stereolab, Instant Holograms on Metal Film. If you like Stereolab, you're gonna like this album. Remember the 70s and 80s when people pictured the future in those decades? This band sounds like the music that they would generate in those movies. They're still going at it, still solid. And the last honorable mention, Dropkick Murphys For the People. I think one of their best albums.
Disappointing.
But let's put it this way: about 3/4 of the album for me is top 12, and then there's like 4 tracks that kind of lose me a bit, and there's other albums on this list that I know I'm going to revisit more. That's the only reason, because there are some tracks here. The guy from Pennywise, what a track. And I know you're going to mention that one, and you're going to mention others. So those are my honorable mentions. This was an absolute nightmare the past 2 weeks, but it's happy problems, dude. It's great music all around. When everything was said, when someone brought something original, authentic, throwback to almost 100 years back, that's when people started to excel, or when they just went fucking apeshit and did something like Igor.
Yeah. So that's our year in indie music, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Cheers to another great year. I think we're ahead with some really good stuff. I am looking forward to starting the year with the D-Lines and probably something from King Gizzard. I'm sure they're going to put something out in the next couple of months because
just 3 albums.
Right. Yeah.
And if anyone watching, if you listen to anything indie that you think that we should put our ears to,
let us know, please.
Share it.
Yeah, please. I'd love to hear it. Tell everybody why, JD.
Because it's always time to go indie now.